Welcome to Metaverse What Matters, a regular fireside chat between me, Julia Streets, and Dr. Catriona Wallace, who's the founder of the Responsible Metaverse Alliance. In every episode, we're going to be unpacking the metaverse, exploring the key opportunities, the challenges, and the causes for concern. Now, Dr. Catriona Wallace is an entrepreneur and a specialist in the field of artificial intelligence, the metaverse, and the responsible use of technology. And she's been recognised by the Australian Financial Review as the most influential woman in business and entrepreneurship, and by the Royal Institution of Australia as a preeminent scientist. Hi, Catriona, how are you?
Hey, Julia, I'm fantastic, thanks.
So you're currently in Australia. I'm currently in the UK. Here we are meeting in the metaverse. If I may just take a moment to explain who on earth I am. I have this weird sort of mashed up life. So my day job is I'm the founder and the CEO of a business development and marketing communications consultancy focused on the world of financial services and technology. But I'm also the host of a podcast called Diverse City Podcast, all about diversity, equity, and inclusion. In addition to that, I'm a former sellout stand-up comedian who now travels both the virtual and the real worlds, interviewing senior executives, exploring what really matters and what's at the heart of what's important. So I'm so enjoying these fireside chats. This is our first episode, and we're going to start off with really understanding more about the need and the ambition of the Responsible Metaverse Alliance. Now, Catriona, I know you set this up in July this year, 2022. I'm curious, why did you set it up? Why do we need it?
Well, my background is in responsible AI, and what we have learned over the last 10 years is introducing regulation, policy, guidelines, and principles 10 years after the technology has emerged. It is a difficult thing. So we have significant challenges with Web 2.0 and social media and a lack of regulation there. So really now we're looking at the metaverse being, say, 5 years away before it gets to a certain level of mainstream use, and 10 years away before it'll be a main way that we interact in our work, life and play. So the call for action is now to start to look at what needs to be regulated in the metaverse so that it is a responsible, inclusive, diverse, and safe place for all people.
And I'm really curious, so let's dig a little bit deeper. It's a great ambition, it's a great intention. So who's involved as in these early stages of setting up the Alliance?
Yeah, so we've had extraordinary interest from around the world. So the movement is a global movement, but in particular, Julia, the people that have come out really strongly are politicians, human rights commissioners, e-safety commissioners, information and privacy commissioners, Department of Internal Affairs, Department of Homeland Affairs, and also the design and creative community who are building and providing or supplying products to the metaverse. But very, very interesting that it is the human rights and the police also, Crime Stoppers and the police, those who are concerned that quite significant harms may occur in the metaverse.
And this is interesting because I was saying in the introduction that you're based in Sydney at the moment, in Australia. Is this a particular focus on Australia, or what are your ambitions beyond those shores?
So great question, because of course, when we think about the metaverse, there is no national or international or state boundaries. There is just a virtual world that has no jurisdiction like we have in the physical world or even the digital world. So even though we've launched it out of Australia with great support from our Kiwi, New Zealand neighbours, this is actually an international program of work. So our chief scientist, Dr. Lewis Rosenberg, is based in California. We have a number of other partners, XR Guild, also based in California, XRSI based in California, and then some conversations going in Europe now. We've just recently been contacted by a senator out of Washington. So we know that this needs to be an international movement. We're just spearheading it out of Australia.
And I'm just it's such a huge brief. It's such a huge borderless community and world. Where on earth do you begin? How did you break down where to focus?
Yeah, it's a very big question. So when we think of the metaverse, and the metaverse being a construct that includes virtual worlds, or we prefer to say immersive worlds, because we can also have metaverse that is desktop based, like Sandbox and Decentraland are just on desktop. We can have augmented reality, we can have virtual reality like we're in now. So we are seeing a number of challenges coming out in these virtual worlds, everything from individual harm, such as avatars that are presenting as virtual spokespeople and coercing people who are humans using avatars in the metaverse to buy things that they may otherwise not, right through to the potential of organised crime and organised terrorism. So there is a range, it's a huge range. And so our focus at the moment is actually, interestingly enough, around the concept of identity. So how are we going to anchor identity in the virtual world, the digital world, and the physical world in order to keep people safe? So that is one of the big topics. And interestingly, policing and safety of children are the two other interesting topics.
And I think that becomes an undeniable truth, for any parent, any carer, any community where you have children at stake. Of course, the concerns very much anchor around that. But I know your community is broader. So when we think about, for example, artists and creators and designers, I know that's one area that you're particularly focused on in terms of bringing in some best practice. Tell us a bit about that.
Yes. So if we think about the key stakeholders in the metaverse, we have the big platform providers. And if we think about the virtual worlds, there are at least 160 providers of virtual worlds. So these are what we call the metaverse platform providers. Then we have thousands, if not tens of thousands, potentially larger than that, of creatives and designers who are building NFTs, non-fungible tokens, or creating designs and products for the metaverse. And so what we really believe is that we need to also mobilize this group of designers and creatives who seem to, in the main, in our experience, really want things to be different than Web 2.0 social media, that they want this to be a good and a safe place, and their work to be associated with good, meaningful, purposeful work rather than exploitative work. So yes, we are very interested in working with the policymakers and regulators and the designers and creatives.
So I can't wait to go into more episodes of Metaverse What Matters, because we're going to be exploring each of these areas in much more detail. Also, just to let the audience know, we're going to be also thinking about that really fascinating intersection where we're bridging different worlds. So the metaverse world with the real world as well, and some of the considerations around that. And also protocols, guidelines, standards, regulation. There's so much to play here as well. And I know you've got a charter. Talk to us about the different pillars of your charter. And also, I'm curious to know about engagement. How is that going? Are you getting the engagement that you'd really like?
Yes. So the Responsible Metaverse Alliance is overarching aim is to create a safe, transparent, ethical, and responsible virtual worlds so that diversity, inclusion, ethics, responsible operations are in place across the metaverse, really to reduce harm or eliminate harm. That's really what we are about. And the Charter is focused on working with policy and regulators. But in addition to that, we want to make sure that the metaverse is a diverse, it welcomes diversity, is inclusive, does have ethics, and is regulated in a way that is still useful for organisations who have commercial interests, but are actually creating spaces that are safe and responsible in their operations. So that's the overall charter for the Responsible Metaverse Alliance, which, as you said, it's a big call, but these are big times.
They are big times, and we will be exploring each of the areas of that in all the future episodes as well. And how is engagement going? Are you getting the sort of interest that you're looking for? Are you looking for more people to get on board? Tell us about that.
Yeah, so the level of interest is been insane. It is crazy. And I think that's reflective of how quickly this metaverse industry is growing. And I know, in the news recently, there's been a bit of pressure on Meta and people talking about, oh, maybe metaverse isn't coming because, Meta's stumbling a little bit. But we are actually plugged into a lot of the metaverse platform providers and companies that are not Meta, not the big tech companies. And this is going extremely fast. So, for example, there are 470 million estimated users of the metaverse at the moment. Roblox has somewhere between 50 and 200 million monthly users of kids under 16 years of age. So we're talking about hundreds of millions of people already using the metaverse. And so we know it's gathering speed very quickly. We have been overwhelmed with the number of people that have come to us as the Responsible Metaverse Alliance to become members. So it's very easy to become a member. We don't actually allow big tech to be members of the Responsible Metaverse Alliance. That's because we feel they've already got a strong voice and a lot of resources. So we're really looking for governments, policymakers, designers, creatives, other suppliers. And we have already hundreds of members who've come to join this movement in a very short amount of time, and extremely influential and powerful people. So human rights commissioners, safety commissioners, information commissioners, heads of government, heads of politicians in Australia and overseas. And so we're seeing some huge traction and interest this time for this next big technology shift in actually trying to do it better than we've done before.
And as you say, we're at a really pivotal, crucial moment now, because we're only at the beginning of the journey, but the numbers you talk about, the millions and millions of users are involved. Many of them are young, particularly right now, but also thinking about, what the future is going to hold in terms of determining a very safe and responsible future. So let's look ahead a little. As you look at that pathway, what are your hopes? What are your dreams? What are your expectations? And how are you going to measure success?
Yeah, so our hopes in general for the metaverse are that it is a place that is highly accessible and provides opportunities for people who perhaps don't experience those opportunities in the physical world or the digital world. So, for example, the top use cases for the metaverse, one is entertainment, and two is education, and three is actually health. So we see huge application in entertainment. So, for example, I've just been in Spain, in Barcelona, and then I did a tour, a virtual reality tour of the Gaudi Museum using, actually that was augmented reality. It was extraordinary. Somebody could actually do that same tour, not going physically to Spain, but do it from home. So that's an extraordinary opportunity for people. So we're seeing these incredible use cases coming in. We also know that these worlds are ungoverned, and there are no rules, no laws, no regulations, and they're run by the tech platform companies. So therein are the risks. And so the Responsible Metaverse Alliance would like to have success measured by the safety of those people who are using the metaverse, the inclusiveness, the accessibility, and then the number of policies that are in place to effectively protect the rights of the citizens of the metaverse. That would be successful for us, and even more successful if the tech platform providers can join us and be included in the writing and the preparation of that policy. If we all came together and we're developing policy, that would be an outstanding success.
So I'm definitely getting a sense that this is a community play. It's gathering momentum. You already have very senior engagement around the world and continuing to grow. As you said, huge interest coming in, but also this is a very urgent time where we need to take this very seriously and push ahead in order to determine a safer future without harm. I can't tell you, we're looking forward to so many more episodes of this. I hope this has been a helpful primer to everybody about why this matters. And in each future episode, we're going to get into each of those areas in so much more detail. I hope you've enjoyed it. Tell us what you think as well. I know you're keen to hear from people about what should we be talking about on these episodes and what do people really care about at the moment. You've been watching Metaverse What Matters. Thank you to Dr. Catriona Wallace for joining me. I'm been Julia Streets. Follow us on social media for notifications of all our future episodes. And thanks for watching. Until next time, goodbye.